I'm going to pull Ken O'Brien of California Davis.
Obviously, the Jets know something that, the people up there don't. Fullback. Hello.
Roger Vick, Jeff Lageman.
Jets just don't understand the dress all about.
Blair Thomas, running back, Penn State. Johnny Mitchell. The New York Jets select tight end from Penn State, Kyle Brady. Vernon Golson.
Cleveland traded the 5th pick to the New York Jets. And with the 5th pick, the 2009 NFL Draft, New York Jets select Mark Sanchez.
D. Milner. Smith. Jets select quarterback Christian Hackenberg.
Sam Darnold.
The New York Jets select Zach Wilson.
Future Pro Bowler, Elijah Moore.
Michael Carter, running back.
Well, we couldn't stay away. We are having a hard time letting go of the dreams, of the mocks, of the picks, of the Dom C. So here we are, one more time, one final victory lap, if you will, a farewell tour for the 2024 mock. I'm GreenBean. Welcome to the 10 o'clock mock. That is our good friend Dom C, who has just been exceptional throughout this offseason, as you guys are now well aware. Dom, how you feeling, my good friend?
Hi, Bean. I'm good, man. I'm tired. Lot going on the past weekend, for sure, amongst like regular real life stuff, trying to stay on top and engage and swallow all this stuff that's going on, man. It's been a whirlwind. It was the fastest weekend I can remember in a while. So I'm in good spirits, my friend.
Good spirits. I know, I can't help it. I couldn't shake it today. People were noticing it at work. They're like, "You okay?" I'm like, "I'm tired." And I'm tired in a way. It's not like, "Oh, I didn't get much sleep last night." Like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tired. Yeah. For sure.
There's an emotional come down from all this stuff, but Dom, we haven't really spoken since the draft. We spoke obviously during, obviously leading up to and then during. But so, the smoke is settled a little bit. It's Monday. The draft ended on Saturday. So we had that Sunday to kind of look around and go, well, what the hell? What am I going to do? Go weeding in the garden? I mean, what the hell am I going to do today? But now here we are. We had some time, kind of look at things. Players are signing their contracts. We know the undrafted free agents. Overall, how you feeling about what the Jets did throughout the entire draft process, whether that be the players, the trades, just the whole thing? What's your overall take?
I'd be remiss to say I wasn't happy. There's lots of guys that made me happy. A lot of guys that, we all liked and we all talked about and we all, got in the weeds for. A couple head scratchers to say the least. I think the biggest thing for me, I would have said that this whole offseason, from when free agency started until now, would have been a slam dunk if it wasn't for that goddamn trade of JFM. I'm still just confused on it, to be honest with you. Just still confused on it. But I listen, maybe it was, I don't know if you can believe anything that is said to the press and, in press conferences, so on and so forth, but Joe Douglas pretty clearly intimated that the decision was financial and they needed to be rid of that to give some more room and make some other moves, whether it's now or whether it's in season, so I think that one stings a little bit, but all in all, I think, I think people are dusting off the old let's make a bronze statue out of Joe Douglas at MetLife thing again. I think he had a real good offseason.
Yeah, that's funny. I love that last statement, man. Right? We're dusting it off. We're like, you know what? On second thought, I am going to complete my bronze statue of Joe Douglas. But I was hanging out with Tyson earlier on Let's Talk Jets, and he said it in a very funny way. He said, I was totally out on Saleh and Douglas, and just kind of last season was very hard. you kind of get to the point you're fed up. Like, I just can't anymore with this team. No matter what we do, here we are. And he said, but I gotta say, like, I'm feeling pretty good again. I'm starting to believe. And it's a funny thing. And the comment that I made was, the Jets haven't figured out how to get us a ring. Or I don't even know if that's really what they ever want to do, because it's been 50 plus years. The Jets organization is doing great. You know what I mean? $6+ billion organization. They're doing fine. But the one thing that they have figured out, a masterclass. Other teams should, if they have issues with their fan base, should just sit down with the Jets. They have mastered the art of, no matter what bullshit happens, what players they trot out, what garbage we watch, we believe every single, and in an excited fashion. With this fan base, we get pumped up. We are ready to go. And they did it again, Dom, I think, with this offseason, like you mentioned. It really was pretty solid, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, listen, the smartest men and women on this earth do one thing, and they learn from their mistakes, right? Because those who don't learn from them are doomed to repeat them. And I think last year was the masterclass on many different facets of just compounded mistakes, whether it's having too much faith in what was a big projection of what the offensive line could be, right? We had Dwayne Brown coming back from the shoulder surgery. Yeah, he's going to be fine. We had Mekhi Becton, hadn't played football in 2.5 years. Look at him. He's in the gym. He's going to be fine. We had, the false, that's a bad word, but it sounds very negative, but we had the false hope of guys like Max Mitchell, who came in and, looked serviceable at times. Oh yeah, he's going to be great. I think Joe Douglas believed all that too. The Zach Wilson, Aaron Rodgers thing, that ended very quickly, and not having a plan there, and just kind of just like it felt like just like kicking the junk after kicking the junk of everything that happened from 4 plays in until the end of the season. Like the going through the entire Zach cycle again, to pulling Zach, to putting Tim Boyle in, to pulling Tim Boyle, to bringing this guy. Who was the other hack that they brought in at the end of there? Who started the Atlanta game? Trevor Siemian. To like the constant shuffle of the offensive line, to starting guys that were in the packing groceries at ShopRite 3 weeks prior. It was just like a comedy, a litany of mistakes. And it's Joe Douglas learned from that, man. He said, all right, you know what? I'm not going to listen to Aaron, whether he listened to Aaron last night or not, but last year or not, but I'm going to go and I'm going to do this my way, and I'm going to correct. Listen, I'm not going through that stuff with the old line again. So, here's John Simpson, and here's Morgan Moses, and here's Tyron Smith. And guess what? I'm not going to go in there with a sophomoric backup quarterback situation, because who knows? So here's Tyrod Taylor. You know what? We're not going to be able to bring back Huff, and the money's going to be too much. So I'm going to go and I'm going to make a really good deal and maybe upgrade on Huff and Hassan Reddick. So I think he kind of took the reins back, if you will, and put his big boy panties on and really made some moves. Really made some moves.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said. The biggest thing I want to make mention, that if you didn't know about Big Boy Panties, there is a store out there where you can buy Big Boy Panties. Dom, they're promoting the Project Prospect channel.
Yeah, it's tagged. It's tagged in the link below. The link is tagged below.
Oh, that's so great. Now, all right, let me just point this out too. So Jay-Z Jetfan has a good comment. I see your super chats. We're gonna get to that just next. After this comment, I just put a comment in here. I want to put this up. Now, this comment came under a video under my podcast today from some guy. Now, what Jay-Z Jets fans is saying here, JD traded the 4th to pick our players later for money reasons. Later picked, get paid less, more cap room. Now, that's technically true, but Some guy did some research. So let me put these up here. So he said the same thing. Here's what it breaks down to. So the salaries below are over 4-year contracts. So pick 101, $4.87 million, first pick in the 4th round. That's the average, the contract, right? Number 150, $4.35 million. So look, 49 picks later, you're talking about a couple $100,000. Pick 200, $4.2 million. Pick 256, $4.1 million. So we're talking about less than $1 million. So when you go from pick 111 to pick 134, let's say, or 150, it's really negligible as far as the cap is concerned. I thought the same thing too, because I've tried to make heads or tails of all the trading. Here's what I'll say. Joe Douglas did somewhat of a master class if you look at it through the right lens, which is number one, the pick from the trade back from 10 to 11 was beautiful. We rarely get to see such sound trades. We did in 1994. I don't know if you remember that one, Dom. That was the Marvin Jones trade. So we had the 4th pick or the 3rd pick in the draft. We were going to take, or think 4th. Let's just say 4th pick, and the Cardinals had the 5th pick. We were taking Marvin Jones. That was the guy we wanted. We needed an inside linebacker. Kyle Clifton was at the end of his career. Marvin Jones was a stud. We wanted him, but we kind of fooled through some smoke screeny stuff. The Cardinals into believing that we were going to take Garrison Hurst. They wanted Garrison Hurst in the worst way. So they had a good running back named Johnny Johnson. We had Blair Thomas. We said to them, you give us Johnny Johnson, and we'll slide back one spot and not take Garrison Hurst. They agreed to it, and we took Marvin Jones anyway. So we got our guy, and we got Johnny Johnson. The same thing happened here, where Joe Douglas was going to take Ulu at 10. I'm sure he had other trade offers, which is why the Vikings traded up. Because he could have slid back to 3, he could have slid back to wherever 12 with the Broncos. And he said, I could slide back one spot. I could slide back a couple spots. Maybe I get a 3rd, but I could slide back one spot. Guaranteed to get my guy. There's no space for anybody to jump in. I get Olu Fashanu anyway. I get an additional 4th, and I get to take 203 and make it 157, which ended up being the pick that we used to get Malachi Corley from 72 to 65. So very, very sound. Now, he moves all over the place in the 4th round, 5th round, 6th round. He's moving everywhere. Mm-hmm. And what does he get? He gets the same players I would have taken in large part, other than Isaiah Davis. If we just stayed at 111 and took Braylon Allen, nobody would have batted an eyelash. Nobody would have. A perfect pick. Great. 4th round. Sounds good to me. If you took Jordan Travis at pick 123, nobody would have said a thing about it. No problem. 4th round quarterback. If you would have taken a wide receiver or Isaiah Davis with your 3rd pick, nobody would have said anything. You know what I mean? It's fine. It's the same thing. It's the same net gain. So what's all the moving around for? Because he ended up using the 6th to jump up to get Jordan Travis and the whole thing. But the thing that he did do is he took a batch of late round picks. We had 10, 72, and a whole bunch of back end day 3 picks. He made them into those players and gained a 3rd for next year. Yeah. So really, he got the guys that he wanted, I would say, for the most part. Braylon Allen, Jordan Travis, Malachi Corley, Olu Fashanu. And he got a 3rd for next year out of a batch of bullshit picks. Yep. So I think when you look at it through that lens, I think that's where the value really is. He was able to move around, get capital for next year, still get the guys that he wanted, and if I may, have a little fun in the process. Jump around, have a little party.
Well, that's what I think as fans, we always kind of, those who are, just your average fan or those who are invested heavily, like this is like these 3-4 days are like life, right? Like, oh my God, who are we going to pick? So and so forth. We spend so much time. We spent months. We spend months talking about it doing fake drafts on Monday night at 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? We spend months doing it. So it every fiber in our being is just like, oh my God, I can't believe he's not taking this pick. Well, here's the reality. And I fall for it too. Let's listen. I would have loved to sit there and pluck all the guys that I had high on my board, this, that, and the other thing. That would have just made me feel fine and dandy. Like I want my, like the king baby syndrome, if you will, Bean, right? I want what I want. I want what I want when I want it. Right.
Yep.
And that's all this is, because you hit the nail on the head. He got a bunch of the guys that they obviously were targeting, and he moved them around and moved and shake. It wasn't in the fashion that we liked it, but he ended up with the same guys. You hit I think you said that so eloquently and so perfectly. If he had taken Braylon Allen and Jordan Travis at 111 and 30 something, no one would have batted an eye. But guess what? We still got those guys. We still got this. We still got those guys. But we passed up on this guy, don't you know? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Our boards, realistically, probably don't look like what the Jets boards look like. There's tons of guys. We talked about 200 different prospects on Monday night here at 10 o'clock. And their board probably had a third of them.
It's funny too, and it harkens back, Dom, to why we try to do it in the way that we do it, right?
Correct.
We do it in these themes, and we Dom and I actually talk, and we try to create scenarios that'll get us away from the same friggin' four players, right? We try to do that. And I think in some instances, we did a good job. I mean, we had that one draft where Jaden Daniels was our pick up top. Which, by the way, I'm going to pull up a couple of our previous mocks. This is the first draft, maybe ever, that I feel like looks like one of our mocks. Which, by the way, I think the Jets always get a little bit too cute. Zaire Barnes, like, all right, there was 15 players there that we all knew, we dissected, are going to be good players. And you reach into the bottom of the bag and it's like, all right, maybe he's great. I don't know. I think they nailed it with Michael Carter II. Jason Pinnock was a confusing pick at the time. He seems to be doing well. So, you can't crap on him too much, but I think sometimes they get too cute. It's like, we're taking, Michael Carter II, Creed Humphrey sitting right there, or, somebody like that. It's like, all right, can we just take the guy we know is going to be a slam dunk? And so this year, it seems like they were closer to a lot of what we landed on, which is like, look, Braylon Allen is the perfect running back to complement what we need for this team, especially transitioning to more of a power, scheme. It just makes perfect sense. And but when we say that, it's like, but there's no way we're going to take him. You know what I mean? We're going to go some other weird route, and they take him. Yeah. Or like Malachi Corley. We talked about Malachi Corley week in, week out. We all loved him. I didn't think it was real. I think it was long shot a guy like Malachi Corley is going to be their target. Yeah. I thought of Roman Wilson and I would be very happy, but I'm delighted that they kind of went with that. It fits that mindset of what we're trying to kind of go to. We're trying to get more of a pounding, kind of control the line of scrimmage, fierce offense, a lot of yard after the catch capabilities. It's really interesting to me how closely it looked to one of our men. Now, obviously nobody had stickers on their boards, but that's okay. That's okay. So I feel pretty good. Let me get to a couple super chats and then we'll look at a few of our previous mocks. So Wyatt checking in. What's up, Wyatt? It's always good to see you, my friend. He says, we love you. Thanks for all the mocks. Yeah, you're welcome, dude. This has been a great offseason, in my opinion, from our standpoint. I had a lot of fun with Dom. So I'm glad you guys, hop on and take part. I hope that you learn some stuff. I learn, throughout every week I learn. And that's really that was the onus behind the creation of all this. It was like, you know what? I have all these conversations and people asking all these questions. Let's just do it. Let's get together and kind of dissect this process. Now everybody's an expert. Now I'm an old man who doesn't know anything. But so it's like, but the whole thing was to kind of expose each other to this process, what it really looks like, some of the mindsets, draft values, squeezing the lemon, so to speak, doing all those kinds of things and why certain scenarios can take place. So I'm glad you guys come and hang for that. Truman Theodore Dumel. Thank you, buddy. He says, how would you rate our AFC rivals draft in comparison to our draft. I thought the Buffalo Bills had a pretty good draft. What are your thoughts overall?
Yeah. So of the AFC rivals. So I was talking with. I think they were all good. I think all four teams. If I had to say, I one was worse, I'd probably say New England. I mean, I know they got Drake May, but I think that they did a lot of reaching more so than the others. And I thought I was confused on the Dolphins early. You know, their day. I think the Dolphins hit a grand slam on day 3 with Muhammad Kamara, with Malik Washington, with Taj Washington, the other slot receiver. He's going to be the quintessential guy that fits that bill of the new kickoff rules. Like, I thought they did a really good job on day 3. I think they reached a little bit on Chop Robinson. That's just me. I thought there was better talent on the board. Even if they wanted to get an edge rusher, I thought there was better talent on the board than Chop Robinson. Again, it's just a personal preference. So for a little bit of reaching they did early on, I thought they cleaned it up and had a killer day 3. And the Buffalo, I thought was solid. I thought Buffalo they draft very solid. The surprising thing with Buffalo is they used all 10 of their picks. To me, I thought that was crazy. I thought that they were going to be guys that utilize and package those things to move all over the place. No, they kept moving down and kept gaining more capital. And they got a little bit of capital for next year, and they got more capital in this year, and they used every single one of those picks. So, not a huge fan of Keon Coleman, their first round pick. Well, ultimately their first pick in the second round. Not a huge fan of him, but I get it. I see like the need and the fit on that offense. Loved Cole Bishop in the second round. Thought he was a perfect fit for Buffalo. And then they just stockpiled and added some guys they added a bunch of role players. Van Pran might be their starter. I think that's great. I was just gonna say that. Yeah, he could be their starter. That might work out very, very well. I thought that was a great value. And then they added guys like, they added Javon Solomon, the edge from Troy, who was one of my favorites in the draft class. I actually had, a good 15, 20 minutes, Jeremy and I talking with him at the Senior Bowl. And man, what a genuinely good dude. They drafted, who else did they get late in the round? Let me pull it up here. There was somebody else that they got, and I was like, "Son of a bitch, how do they keep doing that?" Let me pull up Buffalo.
Well, they got Daquan Hardy, the cornerback.
Eddie Olafosio, the linebacker from Washington, who
one of your faves.
What another guy! I thought he was a great play. And again, these are guys that might, even Dwayne Carter might not ever be super studs, but are just going to be really, really good role players. Ray Davis they got from Kentucky. Like you said, Sed Van Pran in the 5th round might be a starter. They just draft solid. Maybe not get like the best players in the class, but all those guys at one point, maybe not all 10 of them, but the majority of them are going to play a role at some point. I think that's a good job. Whereas a lot of drafts, other teams do like they have like the feast and famine. Buffalo doesn't swing for the fences all the time. They swing for singles and doubles and kind of build those up. So of the AFC East competition, I'd say I like Buffalo's draft haul the best in terms of talent and fit and whatnot.
Well, I'll tell you, I thought Miami did a really good job as well. Again, I didn't Chop Robinson. I was like, okay. I thought he was a bit of an overdraft as well. I liked Patrick Paul, but I think my favorite pick for them, obviously, Malik Washington, especially where they got him. As we talked about here, I thought there was no way he was making it out of the 3rd. He made it to the 6th. Yeah. So I was wrong on that one. His size definitely had an impact there.
Absolutely.
I thought he was a steal, but getting Jalen Wright.
Yeah, who was my 3rd running back in the class in round 4. Again, perfect fit for that offense. I mean, he is one cut and go, has that second gear, can just run by you with an aging Raheem Morris. I know they paid him, and I know he's under contract. He'll be on the roster this year. I don't know about next year, but man, it wouldn't surprise me one iota if by next year Jalen Wright's the main back in that, even over Devon Achane.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's a stud, and I don't love it. Like, I think what they were able to add is dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
like with Keon Coleman, my first thought was Sauce has him. I'm not worried about it.
yeah,
You know, like, I mean, I think Keon Coleman is a good player. I think he's going to do nice things for them, but he's not the guy that I fear. Adding Malik Washington and Jalen Wright to that offense is alarming to me.
yeah.
Because they're both electric types of players. Now, the Patriots, obviously, they started with Drake May. No surprise there. But I thought they had they were very focused, in my opinion. And looking at it now as a refresher here, following that with wide receiver Jalen Polk, love. Then going O-line with Wallace, I wasn't all that up on. I know you probably know more on him.
Yeah.
But I liked the pick. I like what they did. They went wide receiver, offensive line, wide receiver. Getting Javon Baker as well. So another guy.
And they sandwich that with Layden Robinson, who a really so I'll say this, like the intent, like I understand, like you said, like the way they went about it made a lot of sense. For me, I think they reached on both of those linemen for my liking. Again, on my rankings, like I think Caden Wallace and Layden Robinson in the early in the third and early in the fourth are real reaches. But then you land a guy like Javon Baker, who was my 8th overall wide receiver late in the fourth. Like, yeah, could have, should have, would have, but like if you had used one of those 4th round picks on a Javon Baker, man, I would have been that much more enthralled with the Malachi Corley pick, because now you got your big guy, to develop behind Mike Williams. Right. He's got that flexibility in Javon Baker, and he can also play in the slot. And now you got Malachi Corley to get in space and have fun with. So, yeah. And then, listen, Dial, I don't know. Like, I didn't see it in him. Joe Milton, from what I understand, and this is the truth, they're already talking about maybe making him into a fullback, H-back, tight end kind of guy.
Really?
I think that's kind of crazy. And then Jaheim Bell, I think, is ridiculous value. I don't know why he went in the 7th round.
Yeah, another guy. So I think they had a solid draft. I think it's going to take a minute for them to put it together. I want the Pats week 1. That's what I want. I want to be able to traumatize one of their fucking rookie quarterbacks for a change. And let them welcome to the NFL, so to speak. I don't know if the NFL will give us that delightful of a gift. I want to just beat the living hell out of them week 1 while they're trying to get it all put together. A couple picks for their rookie quarterback. Welcome to the NFL, so to speak. But I thought their draft. So I think everybody had a good draft. Excuse me, guys. I really do. Golden Robert checking in. Thank you, buddy. Says Brady, Thomas, Olu, connect the dots. Love the wide receiver and running backs. Brady, Thomas Olu. Golden Robert, I'm not sure what you're saying. Brady, Thomas,
Olu, connect.
Who's Brady? Tom Brady? Tom Brady, Demaryius Thomas? I don't know.
Joe Brady and Thomas Jones? I don't know. Connect the dots. Penn State, Michigan.
Penn State. Yeah, right.
Who's Thomas? I mean, Thomas can be a bunch of different guys. Listen, we can try to dissect this. Love the running.
I'm sorry, Robert. I'm having a hard time figuring that one out, buddy. Let us know. I'll try to keep an eye out for a comment. If you can clarify, I'll try to get it back up. And see. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. I love the wide receiver we got. I love the running backs. Again, for me, it was Braylon Allen was the number 1 running back I wanted. It just so happened Isaiah Davis was if Braylon Allen was off the board, I wanted Audric Estime or Isaiah Davis. That was my crew that I was really hoping on. We got 2 of them.
Yeah,
the positive. I think it pushes Bawden off the team, which is fine by me, Dom.
Yeah, I mean, listen, does it push Bawden off the team? I guess you could make that argument. I mean, yeah, I don't think I know. Twitter's been at arms about this all weekend long. Like, I don't think it's like having 4 running backs in the 4 on the 53 is like outlandish. Like, we've done it before. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Maybe not all 4 of them are active every single week, depending on the matchup, so on and so forth. But I think there's a world where you could still see 4 running backs and Bawden. maybe it means that Yaboas doesn't make it, or he's at night. I'm sorry. I know. Oh, there he is. There it is. Now I see. Connect the dots. Here it is, Bean. Penn State busts. All right.
Oh, you don't like the pick.
Blair Thomas, now Kyle Brady and Olu are busts. I got you.
Well, Kyle Brady wasn't a bust. He didn't match his pay. He had like a 12-year career. And he was a very good tight end. He was just good. I mean, never reached that potential of being I forget what was that 10th overall pick, something like that.
Blair Thomas was the second overall pick. How dare you call him a bust?
That's right. He had 800 career yards, buddy. Yeah. I mean, but look, if we have to go back that far to find, I mean, you could add Hackenberg to that one. He was a Penn State bust for sure. Even though he was a second-round pick, that's definitely bust qualification. But I don't know if I would do that. Matter of fact, I know I wouldn't. I don't think going back to 1992 and 1995, 95.
No, Kyle Brady was 94, 95. He was
95 because it was Kotite. So Kotite only had 2 drafts, 95 and 96. Keyshawn was the 96 pick. Kyle Brady and Hugh Douglas were our first round picks, which people forget in that draft. I know passing on Warren Sapp was egregiously terrible, but at the same time, we did get Hugh Douglas, who won Rookie of the Year, been an All-Pro Parcells traded him, but for the Eagles, he was a stud for a very long time. Double-digit sacks for multiple years. So he's not in the Hall of Fame. He's not Warren Sapp, but it's a little better when you say, okay, we took Kyle Brady because there was another guy we liked a lot and who had a stellar career. Again, defensive rookie of the year for us. And there was no tight end back there that we liked. So I do understand it. Still wouldn't have did it. But anyway.
But
Hennessy, what's up? Go ahead.
After you.
All right. So Hennessy checking in. Got to spend some quality time with Hennessy. It was funny. I was just chit-chatting. We were making our way around and kind of making sure that I got to, me, Dom, and me, Matt, and Ryan, making sure we had time to like spend with everybody and just kind of shoot the shit. And I was talking to Hennessy for a few minutes about whatever, and he goes, "Hey, I'm Hennessy, by the way." I'm like, "Oh shit, I didn't even know it was him." But it was nice to meet you, dude. For real, face to face. We had a good time, man. It was really cool. He says, obviously the people up there are finally listening to us down here. Yeah. It's like JD was here every Monday night for the mock. And Dom was in the war room. I'll tell you what, man, that'll be a good segue into real quick. I'll put this up here. We'll just take a look at a couple of our mock. Now, I didn't even pre-look at these, but just to see where we were. This one, look where we are. So you got Troy Fatanu, where we slid back to 12 there. But again, offensive line first. We took Malik Washington with 72, but Braylon Allen's right there on our board, right? Let's see what this one looks like. Braylon Allen again. He was all over the place. Let's see this one. Romo Dunze, Christian Mahogany. This one is very different. But what's this one? Xavier Worthy, Christian Jones, McKinley Jackson. Oh, this was the Jaden Daniels one, Dom. So these are actually pretty different. The ones that I have here, the most recent ones, I think we had one recently that was quite literally, it was like Olu, Braylon Allen, and Jordan Travis were all in it. Yeah. So these are not the best examples, but you can see Braylon Allen making it onto all of them. But again, taking that tackle up top, I think was the
right choice.
Smart move, Dom.
The right choice. Listen, I will not lie to the people in the chat. As the process went on and later got into it, and right before the draft, I was completely more open and possibly even leaning towards, all right, if Odunze is there, like, I'm good with that, but in retrospect, and, maybe we'll look at some of it, like if we had done that and he wasn't, and I know the Jets tried to get up to 6 for Odunze, not for Neighbors, for Odunze. They tried to get up to 6. They tried to get up for Odunze with 8. Atlanta was dead set and afraid to lose Michael Penix. And then Chicago was like, no, we're not going to move. We like Odunze just as much as you suckers. So they pivoted. But if you look at it in retrospect, like, the combo of the tackle that you probably would have come away with in that third round, Bean, I think the sum of the parts going tackle weapon worked out better than the sum of the parts if you went weapon tackle, which is what we said in different ways all throughout the 10 o'clock mock season.
Yep. And that was the whole thing. It's like when you look at the value, the talent level and prospect potential of when you choose one over the other, there was a significantly more established degradation at the offensive line, offensive tackle particularly, position than there was wide receiver. I mean, shit, man, we were seeing guys like Brendan Rice drafted in the 6th. And I think Brendan Rice is going to be fine. I mean, again, whether or not he's ever a one is not really the issue. It's like, guys that can come in and contribute, they were still there. Now, offensive line guys, you can always seem to find in the 4th, 5th, 6th round as well. But I think it's a little bit more of a crapshoot, especially in this draft. I just thought the tackles were very strong up top, but I'm right there with you, man. I was totally okay. If Odunze was there, or if we traded up to 9 to get him, I was fine with that. And I would have been very excited. I think the idea of, Garrett Wilson, Romo Odunze, and Mike Wallace running around, or Mike Williams running around, it doesn't hurt my feelings. Yeah. So, but like Hennessy's asking here, who was your favorite player of the entire draft? He says his is Braylon Allen.
That we selected. Well, I get an affinity to big guys. Like I love, Olu, and Olu wasn't even my favorite tackle. I was on the JC Latham train, but of the ones we take, he was gone. Yeah, exactly, as he should have been. I mean, I'm looking forward to having Olu. You know what I like best about? Again, I have an affinity for the offensive lineman, but what I like about it is forget about the player. I just like the idea that we got a left tackle that hopefully, he's still got to play, he's still got to produce and all that stuff. But hopefully it's a position of premium need that we don't have to worry about for a while, right? We don't have to worry about it for a while. And the funny thing is, say what you want about, how the board would have looked. Like I said, I think the sum of the parts is better value-wise going tackle weapon than the opposite one. But I have, even past Olu, Joe Douglas played safe. Joe Douglas didn't go for the home run. Olu was a very, very high floor player. Might not have the ceiling of guys like Armarius Mims or Tyler Guyton or Fatanu or so on and so forth. But he also doesn't have the low floor. What you're going to get? You're going to get a really, you're probably going to get a really good left tackle for the next 8 to 10 years and not have to worry about it. And to me, that makes him that knowing that you have that premium position locked up and safe would have makes me the happiest for sure.
Yeah. I'd say my favorite player is Braylon Allen because I just love him so much. And I'm a big fan, as you guys know. And I'm aware, it's bigger than this for me, but I do believe strongly 4 yards of play wins the game. You know what I mean? So I think if you can control the line of scrimmage and you have the ability to, there's no way that they're stopping us on a consistent basis from getting 4 yards. Then our offense is going to be on the field for long stretches of time. We have the ability to break it open. You have Garrett Wilson, you have Breece Hall. They're able to pop it off at any moment. And I think Corley's can fall into that category, but all the guys we brought in are happy to lower their shoulder and let everybody know in the backfield. All right, you want to tackle me, it's going to feel like this all day long. And I think that helps with that proposition. So I love that attitude. Everybody we brought in that respect, Isaiah Davis, Braylon Allen, and Malachi Corley, they're bringing that with them. That kind of hard running style. uber talented. And look, let me tell you this, dude. Braylon Allen's speed is deceptive. He reminds me when he gets streaking down the sideline, when he pops through to the second level, he reminds me of Brad Smith, like that. He doesn't look like he's moving all that fast.
Yeah.
He's not. It almost looks effortless, but yet no one's catching him.
Very. Yeah. He plays faster than his straight line speed numbers project him to, for sure. Listen, call a spade. He doesn't have the breakaway speed that Izzy Benicanda has, and neither does Isaiah Davis. You know, they're probably 4.5, 4.6, mid 4.5, mid 4.6 guys, somewhere along those. But they play faster, and like you said, there's a physicality to the guys that we brought in here. Not only the draft picks, but the guys we brought in free agency, John Simpson and Morgan Moses and Hassan Reddick. There's going to be no more of these late hits on your quarterback, and everyone just kind of stands there and puts their arm out. Oh, come on, Zachy Poo, come up. No, you put a late hit your quarterback. These guys are going to get in your face, and they're going to make you pay. Like, we've been missing that nastiness on this team for a while. You know what I mean? So I love the fact that I love the fact that the transition is going back to a little bit more, Smashmouth. It's only going to help. You're not going to, go ahead. You want to stop our 3 running backs that are going to run down your throat? All right. Bring the box, make the box heavy. Bring up 7, bring up 8. Guess what? You got Aaron Rodgers back there. You can't do it.
That's right. You can't do it.
You
can't do it. You got Conklin and Garrett Wilson, and the running backs all can catch. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
But
Braylon Allen, I think his hands are better. He just never really got the opportunity. Never.
Yeah, he had 34 catches, I think it was last year, or 24, something like that.
Yeah.
He can do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, but it's like, you're right. Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, if he's healthy. It's a funny thing with Mike Williams, because even though we brought him on, big free agent signing, obvious, the potential is through the roof. If he's on the field, we got the best 1-2 since Decker and Marshall, without question.
Sure.
But nobody's talking about it because we're all spooked about his injury. The fact that he's not going to be ready for training camp. We don't even know if he'll be ready week 1. It's spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but don't forget him. It's like, having guys like Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Malachi Corley, Conklin, Breece Hall out there in the passing game. Like you said, you want to bring 7 to 9 in the box, go ahead.
Yeah.
Where before it was a death knell for us. You put 8 in the box, it's over.
Yeah, but and if I was the defensive coordinator against the Zach Wilson led or a Tim Boyle led team, you're damn right I'm putting 8, 9. I'll bring 0 blitzes every single time. Guess what? Because he's not going to beat you. You can't do that now. And to the point that you just made, like, again, and I'm not going to, I'll talk about Corley. Love the player, excited to have him. I think you and I talked, about this previously. Like, even at that time, there's still receivers I think I would have rather preferred than Corley, and that's not a knock on Corley. I just, there was guys that I liked, and that more traditional receiver that I think, my eye kind of leans towards. But the construct of this offense now, where you have Mike Williams can take the top off and be that vertical threat. You have get the ball in space and guys like Breece Hall and Malachi Corley and let them do their magic. You have Conklin up the seam. You have Garrett Wilson covering everything else. Like, you're hitting all the touch points of the field and all the offense, and you just can't cover all of it. You're just not going to be able to protect against every single one of those aspects and every single one of those weapons, man. So
that's right.
I think that construct really, really works.
Yeah, me too. And then, by the way, now that we're doing that, the offense has been on the field for 8 minutes. The defense is rested and seeing blood in there. There's blood in the water. They're going to go out there and either shut them down, get a fumble, and they're going to give the ball back to an offense that can be lethal. And that's the difference, man. We've been watching, like you said, our offense has been nothing short of soft for a long time. And that's no, there's no coincidence that our quarterback was the cutest little button, soft-spoken little fella, It's just the whole thing. It's like the whole offense too. They tried, and I think last year they did a real good job of like not throwing Zach under the bus. But I don't see anybody crying over him not being there. Yoitz, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Thank you for being a stream beaner for the last 10 months. This is your stream beaner super chat. JD did his part. Now Saul needs to do his and get W's. That I agree with, buddy. Aside from trading Zach, what was your favorite move this offseason now that the draft is done? So if you had to pick one, Dom, it could be a draft pick, it could be a free agent pick or signing.
For me, I think the most exciting pick was or the most exciting move was the trade for Hassan Reddick, because God, we were so down after losing Bryce Huff, and I don't think I've ever seen a fan base so against something that happened. Like I haven't met, maybe there are some of them out there, and I'm sure they'll pop up here in the chat, but I don't see any of the, like, I don't remember anyone being like, yeah, you know what, who cares about Bryce Huff? I'm glad he's gone, or you know what, it doesn't matter, blah blah blah. Like everyone was just like down in the dumps, homegrown, talented, that little, his dance and stuff like that, so on and so forth. And so right when you're down, right when you don't think you can get any lower, you go and make a trade for Hassan Reddick, who arguably is better than Bryce Huff. He's arguably better than
Bryce Huff. It's what you want Bryce Huff to be.
Develop. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So
that's a good choice. I forgot about that. I was going to say Tyron Smith, because that one came out of left field as well. Like we didn't think we were getting him, and then all of a sudden we were just hanging out. I was playing video games with my son or something like that, and all of a sudden it came down the wire. Oh, the Jets are signing Tyron Smith. It was like, what?
Yeah.
Holy macaroni. So yeah, I think those are the two. I think I might lean Hassan Reddick too. But that offensive line, man, we needed that this year. We needed it, and I really love that they didn't rest on their laurels, bringing in a couple older fellas and then just say, oh, we're good. No, they shored it up. That's been the scourge of this team. If Tyron Smith goes down, I feel much better having Olu Fashanu come in after a few games, week 8, week 10, whatever it might be, than Carter Warren, Max Mitchell, or Billy Turner, or any of these guys that we had, or you throw an AVT over there because we got nothing in the cupboards. This is much, much better, man. I feel good about it. Yep. Hennessy checking back in says, this is our division. I want a home playoff game. Hell yeah, boy. Yeah. We can do it. We can. If there's any year, the Dolphins were an elite team for much of the year last year. They fell apart at the end because they started playing teams with winning records. So there's that. But they're dangerous. Make no mistake. So they're viable competition, assuming the Jets are healthy and we're playing well, right?
Yeah.
The Dolphins are still a threat, and the Bills are still the Bills. They're different now, and we don't know what it's going to look like. The Pats are rebuilding. You never know. They could come out of the gate like Mangenius. All of a sudden, a 4-win team wins 10 games. It could happen, but I don't think it will. I think the Jets have a realistic shot at taking the division for the first time since, what was it, 2002?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this about Hennessy's super chat here. Be Debbie Downer. I don't want the home playoff win. I don't want the home playoff game. You know why? It's the first year in 11 years that I don't have my season tickets. I didn't renew them.
Why don't you have season tickets?
I didn't renew them this year. I didn't. Listen, man. I had good seats. I had a lot of seats. And it just came to the point now where the kids on Sundays have soccer there and there. We're all over the place. And you know what? It was just time. It was time to take that, $16,000 and put it elsewhere.
Right. Now, do you have the option to buy it back in next year, or
I do. I can. I might not get my exact seats, but I got a lot of, through regular work, I got a lot of corporate connections, so I can still be able to go to 3-4 games if I want. Probably won't get playoff tickets if that's the case, but this is the first year in 11 years that I don't have my season tickets, so I'm a little sad, not gonna lie. A little sad, but
but I look, hey, in anything in life, you gotta give something to get something, And I think you made the right choice. If it's your kids,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
16 grand is nothing to bat an eyelash out, boys and girls. So hey, we'll just we'll have to report to Dom what the atmosphere is like, Hennessy, because I'll definitely be there, buddy.
Bastards, you motherfuckers.
Ray Danger checking in. He says Jets seem to factor in the character of a player more than most teams. I'm cool with that, but I feel like we pass on some good players we shouldn't. I agree on both counts, but I will say this. The character thing came into play the last 2 years. All right. Now we had a couple bubbles, like Elijah Moore had his freak out, but this team the last 2 years has been, the potential was through the roof. And we had collapses. And we didn't hear, dude, years past, Brandon Marshall and Sheldon Richardson fighting in the locker room, Geno Smith getting his jaw broken, all those. I mean, this team is notorious for having issues and people speaking out and all that. And we held it together. Even and the onslaught, even the articles of sources and this and that, everybody's this and Robert Saleh stealing phones. Nobody came out and said shit. That's a high character team. They held it together. There's major benefits to it, man. Last year we were a legitimate Super Bowl contender, and we had to endure an entire season of Zach Wilson that we didn't want to. We didn't want to. You know damn well the team didn't want to.
Yeah,
and they supported him. They said that's my guy and all the right shit. And there was no complaining, no throwing him under the bus, none of that shit. They all supported him. That's a high character team. You get a bunch of punks from LSU. Jamal Adams would have been fucking flapping his gums. And you know what I mean? He would have been like, oh man, you know it. He would have been on the news every single day talking shit. And that's the difference. I hear you definitely with the caliber of player, but I think it's one thing if you're, taking, like in the years past, we've done that character. Like Mike McCagden wouldn't take anybody with any history of either violence or I think it was substances. I forget what it was. And it's like sometimes you can be too extreme with that stuff. I still think we're getting talented players. There's enough to go around. There are talented guys that aren't pieces of shit. And I tend to like it overall. How do you feel about that one? You think we're screwing ourselves, or you think we're right?
Listen, I don't know if we're necessarily screwing ourselves. Like, if culture is important to you, which it seems to be important to them. Like, listen, I don't even think it seems to be. I think you can make a definitive case that culture matters to them. That's why Elijah Moore's no longer here, right? That's probably why Michael Carter's no longer here, right? Those guys that started to get out of line under the JD regime, they just cut ties with, man. They just cut ties and moved on from. So listen, the guys that they brought in, I'll tell you this much. I haven't talked to them. I haven't, personally talked to them, but everyone that I know that is associated or has met or has talked to or has gotten involved with Malachi Corley says that this guy is going to be the fan favorite in no time flat. Like, no time flat. Like he's got that bubbly persona that's just going to mesh well with the New York media and the New York fan base. So yeah, man, it's and Olufashinu is, very well put together, high IQ guy, really heady, speaks very well. You could tell he's of good, a good sound character. Jordan Travis has said all the right things, man, outside of the fact that he grew up a Dolphins fan. Screw that. He said all the right things. I mean, I had I was lucky enough to spend a good 15-20 minutes getting to know Isaiah Davis down in Mobile. And man, that kid is mature beyond his years too. And, has the right attitude and says all the right things. Like, I remember him talking and he was almost damn near in tears saying, man, he's like, I'm a kid from Missouri who went to South, wherever we went, when North Dakota State, South Dakota State. He said, I just want an opportunity, man. I just want an opportunity to show people that I belong in this league. He's like, I don't care what team does it. He's like, if it's New York, I've never been to New York, I will love New York. I'm like, yeah, man. Yeah, love it.
Yeah, I love it. And I think the attitude, the way he plays on the field, you can see it, man. We're going to love it.
Yeah.
And I think, dude, like, look, go ahead and bracket Garrett Wilson. Send the safety over there. We'll make you pay, with a guy like Malachi Corley. I like to say this, and now I don't know if it'll hold true, but I think a lot of what fans were enamored with Brock Bowers giving us, Malachi Corley kind of gives you that similar style of play and can do a lot of those things for us. I like to call him Brock Bowers light. So I think, we're going to love it, man. He's the type of player, him, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis. These guys are the type of guys that we want on the team. I love the comment that you made when Isaiah Davis made the point to you about his favorite thing being knocking down a linebacker, thinking he's going to get to the quarterback. So
That's
pass
right.
protection.
I live for pass protection. He's like, there's no better moment in a game is when you can take a blitzing linebacker right out of his cleats. And I'm like, yeah, dude, you're right.
I love that guy. Come on.
You're right.
That comment alone, dude. It's fantastic. Boba Jet checking in. What's up, man? He says, what I love about it all is that this really sets us up to be a true ground and pound first team who has Aaron at quarterback with weapons plus a top 3 defense. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's like we are set up to be a ground and pound team, but we have an elite quarterback with some elite weapons around him. And Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams when he's healthy. And look, if they're using him sparingly, or like if they're rotating, kind of using a lot of 12 personnel and Mike Williams is there playing maybe 50% of the offensive snaps, maybe he is healthy all year. Instead of depending on him every, to be out there every play. I think they got a plan for him.
And I think we also have to remember the team as constructed right now, 1 day after the draft over, isn't the team that we're going to war with come September. There's still multiple waves of free agency that's going to happen. Guys are going to get cut. Guys are going to get injured. Guys are going to get replaced. There's going to be trades, so on and so forth. So, I don't know if the wide receiver room is, dead set yet. I wouldn't be surprised if there's another body brought in at some point along the way, or maybe you get, maybe this is wishful thinking, but maybe you get a big, year 2 gear up in a guy like Jason Brownlee, who I think has talent, or, Xavier Gibson, really steps up his game and decides that he wants to, be take it to the next level. Who knows?
He wants to be a real NFL player and not fucking drop the ball.
I know a lot of people, in reviewing and take from a high level of saying, I can't believe we didn't, we needed to come out with another interior lineman. Well, there's still plenty out there. Who's to say Dalton Risner isn't on the team come July, come training camp,
right?
Or Andres Pete or something along those lines. Like, there's still plenty of free agency action yet to happen. And we still have the ability. We have a little bit more financial flexibility with JFM gone, although I think that's going to be, for me personally, I think a tough pill to swallow. I think he was grossly underappreciated by Jets fans for the stuff that he did.
Who's that?
JFM.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you on JFM. I don't like it. I wish they didn't have to do it, but the truth is that his production look, when you look at his replacement, in my eyes, which is, obviously you're going to see a lot more Will McDonald and Reddick, but Michael Clemens is the closest comp. Number one, that says a lot. Okay. But number two, he played 20% more snaps than Michael Clemens, had 5 more tackles or 6 more tackles, a couple more tackles for a loss. He had three more sacks. So he had 3.5 sacks. Clemens only had a half sack. So Clemens had a forced fumble. He had a couple batted passes. So it's not to say it's no issue. I think he was important. He was a good, solid role player. The truth is, I didn't love that they kind of force fed him at the end when that took guys like Bryce Huff and Will McDonald off the field. And the first year it was JJ, it was like JJ was kind of feathered in. And JFM sitting out there at edge, and he's not really getting you much production. 3.5 sacks and 34 tackles and 55% of the snaps. Again, I'm not trying to demonize him, but just looking at it objectively, if you give Michael Clemens those snaps, I mean, you have to think because it's there, the 35% versus, his 35%, the numbers are comparable already. So you think give him 10%, 15% more snaps, he's going to give you JFM. So I'm not too worried about it. If I had to pick, let's say they said one guy has to go on the defensive line. It's the way it is, the way it's built and the money, and we have to lose one guy. Pick one. I probably would have picked JFM or Solomon Thomas.
I would have kicked Bradley and I out the door for the fourth time.
Bradley and I's not.
I'm joking.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
I don't even think he's re-signed. He's free agent right now. I think.
Damn shame. A bean favorite from that draft class, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what's going on with Bradley and I. Real quick, Money Mitch. I know you guys. I heard Knoble decided to go back to school to get his medical degree. That's what I heard.
Listen, offensive and defensive weapon out of college. You can't. Yeah, I can't believe he went undrafted. I'm still shocked.
Yeah, but I think again they wanted to draft him. It was the early second round, but he said, "You know what? On second thought, I'm going to go become a surgeon." So he can do it. He's got that kind of talent. So he went back to college, and he's.
I actually think, you know what my conspiracy theory is. Knoble's on our team. His name Quantez Stiggers.
There it is.
The mystery man. The mystery man.
We got Knoble, everybody.
Knoble.
His name is actually Quantez Stiggers.
Yes.
It was far too much hoopla around the name. He doesn't want it. He wants to be. He wants to be anonymous. So he made the name Quantez Stiggers.
That's
equally fun as Knoble. The JC Jets, no comment, but thank you, my friend. We appreciate the support. The Wedge checking in says GreenBean's cool. Well, thank you. Now my wife is not on an island by herself. She now has the Wedge. Two people out there think I'm cool. I think my son does too. My daughter, not so much. Did I tell you recently we were, I forget how we got onto it in my family about loving the kids equally. And we're doing this whole thing. And I said to my, whatever, I was joking. I said, my daughter doesn't love me. She goes, I do. I love you. She goes, Mommy's my favorite though. She did it quick. Mommy's my favorite. Make no mistake. That's my favorite parent, right fucking there.
As any parent out there knows, that is and something I say, you know what? I look at my kids and I love my kids, obviously, and my kids love me, and we have a great relationship. But when push comes to shove, they need something, it's mom. And that's just what it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That bond is real.
I make jokes and make them mow the lawn. That's what I do. You know what I mean? I make them laugh and I make them go to work. Yeah. So, they need something. It's mom all day. Money Mitch checking back in. Are any of you guys upset that we passed on? Oh, well, yeah. All right. Sorry. I didn't see that you had the super chat in, but yeah, I think Dom nailed it, dude. We got him, everybody. Stiggers is the guy. And you know what I think? Tell me what you think. I love that when you came on the Talking Jets stream, I think you said you were on Jake's show a little bit earlier when Stiggers was taken, and he asked, you know anything about him? You said, I know nothing, right? Not a damn thing.
So, and that's the truth. If I'm going to give an opinion of a guy, I'm going to at least, and people do different things. And I'm not saying this, I'm not trying to sound walk on a pedestal, but if I'm going to put my opinion on something, I want to know what I'm talking about. And I haven't watched a lick of Quantez Stiggers play. I know that he was at the Shrine Bowl. I know that he impressed a lot of people at the Shrine Bowl. I know that this background story about Quantez Stiggers is really interesting. And that's about it. About it.
So I think, he's the type of player when you look into this and you see the story, obviously, and somebody said to me, I believe we probably could have got him as an undrafted free agent. I think that's probably the case. But you saw by the way that we were, that our staff was on the calls, I think that, and this is a kind of a nod to our team. Look, you're in the 6th round. He's a talented kid, but I think they chose to give him that. You were drafted, with your whole story. Yeah. Playing, obviously coming from the CFL, playing in, semi-pro or whatever the hell it was, the fan-supported league. I don't even know what that is. They wanted to give him that, hey, I was drafted to an NFL team. They wanted to give him that.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that, man, but on the back end of the draft, especially if he's going to play. Like Rex Ryan taking Taj Boyd because his fucking son was friends with him. That's not the way you want to do it. I mean, we cut him a month later. It was like, or whatever it was. He had no chance of making it on an NFL roster.
Yeah.
So this guy, it's a different story. I see him. You know what? He's the kind of guy that I could see them just sitting down with and going, all right, here's your role. We want you to develop special teams prowess. We want you to be a gunner. That's what we want you to be. And just kind of working on him, that using that drive to succeed and overcome and just, that putting in all the extra hours. And we want you to do one thing, man. We want you to be our special teams demon and kind of work on replacing Hardy. I could see that being like kind of that starter role, not starter in the sense of being a starter, but like to begin with his career. I think that would be the good makeup of a player to do that with,
Yeah. Well, you also got to remember, and like I said before, like as we go through this stuff and we delve into 200, 300 prospects, but a week before the draft or when they're finalizing their draft boards, like they don't have numbers like that. You know what I mean? They might have, 100 guys that they've really, 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 vetted through and talked to and so on and so forth. And they have them in tiers and they say, okay, these are the guys we're thinking about in the first round. And maybe these three, these are the guys, these three we can potentially trade up for. These three, if we trade down this much, we could be in this range, so on and so forth. When it gets to these 6th and 7th round picks, especially Stiggers at the end of the 6th round, basically, they have agreements. They do. Before the draft is over, they have agreements with agents and players to say, okay, listen, well, if you don't get drafted, you're going to come to, you're going to join. That's how do you think the undrafted free agents start immediately? Because that stuff's already done, right?
Yeah.
So for a fact, and I know this as 100% factual, the Jets were absolutely in love with the kid that they got from Michigan, Braden McGregor. They absolutely loved him. And they probably had come to an agreement and said, hey, listen, we're going to pay you and don't worry about it. And if somebody else offers you more money, we're going to up it. They probably came to a number that was comfortable with. Braden McGregor got more guaranteed money than Quantez Stiggers. He got more than the safety from Alabama that they drafted in the end. Probably more money than Jordan Travis as well. So what they did is once they have that locked, it gives them an opportunity to say, okay, maybe we can go, our tier can expand a little bit. And which guy really struck us most? Which guy do we think you said can influence the game on special teams? Which guy do we think can develop into it? Which guy is has the pride, that has the heart that we want in our players? And that's Quantez Stiggers or whomever it is. So, if they were playing it like conservative to a T, I'm sure you would have seen a guy like Braden McGregor, who they were absolutely interested in the whole draft cycle, taking in that Quantez Sticker spot. But it gives them a little bit more flexibility. It gives you a shot to look at the tier and say, which guy do we like the best, no matter what the position is. Because, like you said, I think after the Jordan Travis pick, my guess, and this is not factual, this is guess. My guess is that they had a couple guys. They knew they wanted to get Jordan Travis. They knew they wanted to, they liked the big back in the big back idea. So they got Braylon Allen. You knew they wanted to get the offensive lineman and the weapon. And after that, it's all gravy, man. It's all gravy, right? So you can take a flyer. You knew I told you they were going to add a defensive back. So now you can take a flyer. You could take a flyer on a guy like Stiggers. I don't know much about the safety that they took in round 7, but and maybe they liked what they saw in him. And again, a 7th round guy with a RAS score just about 9. That's the Joe Douglas MO, right?
And was able to come through. He's going through. I believe where was he? He was in
UAB first,
right, and then finish his career at Alabama. It says something, man. They're not just picking up scraps. Alabama, and he was on the field.
Yeah.
So I mean, hey.
But once you have the agreements, in place, the handshake deals with these undrafted free agents, it gives you the opportunity to throw a dart at a high RAS score guy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Same thing with Brownlee last year. They loved Brownlee. They talked to Brownlee. They met with Brownlee numerous times. He slipped through. Probably around round 6, they said, "Hey, listen, here's going to be our offer. If you don't get drafted, you sign with us. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. So we'll go take a shot on Zach Kuntz. You got a 10 RAS score. Let's see if we can make something of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. That's great. That's good information, everybody. I hope you were all listening. There's a reason why the drafted players at the back end of the draft sometimes are a little bit off kilter because they already have a deal with the guy that they would have taken.
Yeah.
Or could have, taken at that spot.
Now it's still a roll of dice because you could those guys could get drafted in the 7th round.
Right.
So it's still a roll of dice, but they know a lot more than we think they know. You know what I mean? They know a lot more than we think. Like they knew exactly that Jordan Travis. They knew that 150 mark or wherever it was that they drafted him was going to be the soft spot. They didn't have to take him at 112. They didn't have to take him at 134. They could go back and play games and move around and get a 3rd round pick next year and so on and so forth. And then say, all right, well, maybe there's a buzz or maybe they hear, maybe the agent has let on that this team's talking to him. So let's jump back up and get him. Now's the time.
Right.
Now's the time to pull the trigger.
Right. I like it. That's good stuff. Gotham Green checking. I recently watched tape on Jordan Travis. He can be the real deal. The kid was undefeated, played in a tough ACC. Well, then that's what I liked about him. I think, there's definitely flaws. Dom has pointed out, accuracy concerns, things like that. Yeah. Plus he was bailed out a few times, by really exceptional wide receiver play. I've seen that as well, but I think it's undeniable that he has real talent. And I think without the injury, he doesn't make it to anywhere near where we saw it. I mean, I'm not going to go hypotheticals, but the great thing about him is that he has zero pressure to do a damn thing for a while. We have Aaron Rodgers and Tyrod Taylor for him to sit behind. What a great hodgepodge of wisdom for a guy with his skill set. Like you have the old sage in Aaron Rodgers, just how to be the epitome of how to be an effective and long-lasting quarterback in the NFL, training regimen, taking care of yourself, whatever it might be. And then Tyrod Taylor has much of the Jordan Travis skill set. I mean, they play the game in a similar fashion. So you also have that, and he's a wily old vet, been around a long time, been all over the friggin' place. Mm-hmm. He's been on 7 teams. So I think it's a really good situation for Jordan Travis. I loved what he said coming out. He said, dude, I'm he's so grateful. He can't wait to learn from these two guys, and that's the right attitude to have. And look, one of the things you hear about him all the time is consummate team oriented guy, a fantastic leader, like team first, like he's that guy. So the kind of quarterback that look, if he's here for 3 years and he's working his ass off and he's showing up in practice and he's, the team is, adhered themselves to him because of the way he holds himself and all that shit. That's a great situation to have that guy come in and have an opportunity to start, as opposed to drafting some fucking, blonde haired, blue eyed kid from Utah. I mean, it's
threw 70 yards in his gym shorts.
That's it. It's so good. But it's like, but even for anybody, it's tough to just come in and be the savior. There's always the word we hear when we draft a quarterback. Can he be the savior? It's like, it's just such a weight. Hey, how you doing? You feel good? Here's 9,000 pounds. Carry this up those stairs for us. It's like, it's not an easy gig. Yeah. So this is a little bit different of a scenario. And I think Jordan Travis has the talent. Now, can he put it together? We don't know, but we got a good scenario, a good game plan to put it all together. Jake is checking in, says, what's up, Jake? He says, Rex as de facto GM was cancer. Why I'm all for high character guys now. We destroyed Mark with sociopaths. Quentin Copel's infected the entire locker room. It's a great example, dude. Think about this, the 2011 offseason alone.
Yeah, I don't remember I remember Quentin Copel's. I don't remember him being an attitude problem, but that's just because I'm kind of burnt.
Well, he was the guy. His deal was that he took plays off. So he was like this uber talented guy that just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
When he did, he would dominate for like, a quarter. He'd be unstoppable, and then he'd just chill. So he was like that guy, but then Sheldon Richardson and those guys were really, really negative, man. But think about this. In 2011, guys, Rex inherited Brad Smith, Leon Washington, Jericho Cotchery, those types of guys. Sean Ellis. In one off season, we got rid of Sean Ellis. We got rid of all of them. Well, Leon Washington was the year before because of the leg injury, but he got rid of all of them, replaced them. We literally fucking picked Plaxico Burress up from jail and Derek Mason. You know what I mean? And it was like, and you made Santonio Holmes the captain, and it was like that. All of a sudden, we had a bunch of thugs, for lack of a better word. It's like, Jericho Cotchery, he asked for a trade. He said, I want out of here. Like, this is everything that we were is gone like that. We got rid of Braylon Edwards and all these guys that were like team-oriented leaders, good role players, solid, effective in their roles. And in one season, we just got rid of all of them, and we saw it. That was the end, dude. That was the end. We just consciously made that decision. Now, Tannenbaum was the general manager, so he gets the axe. But Rex, you saw the difference between Mangini Tannenbaum and Rex Tannenbaum. And I love Rex. I got the sign ball right here. I display it proudly. I love Rex. I'm grateful for everything he gave us. He never should have had his mitts on the personnel. Never. And the Idzik years, don't tell me that Idzik came in here as really an unqualified GM and was the boss over Rex Ryan, who Woody Johnson got rid of Tannenbaum, kept Rex. This was Rex's team, dude. He took Calvin Pryor in that. It was all Rex. Dean Milliner, all that stuff. It had Rex all over it. And we saw the degradation of our team. And the truth is we're still not back from it. It's a shame. So I'm with you, Jake. I'm with you with the character thing. How do you feel about that one? You think the character?
Well, I think that this regime has made it of paramount importance. Obviously, like I stated with the example before, like you get guys who are loose at the lips. Guess what? You're gone. Elijah Moore. We all know the talent that he had. But the attitude didn't match what they're trying to keep in the building. He's gone.
Right. And I like it. Michael Carter. I loved Michael Carter.
Yeah, it's hard not to like it, but he's
screaming at the coach on the sideline and all that kind of shit. And look, Michael Carter, you're great and all, but you're not Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams, he earned, if Quinnen Williams stands up and starts yelling, there's something up because he doesn't do that. You know what I mean? Yeah, Michael Carter screaming at his running back coach, it was not a good look.
No.
You know what I mean?
And you know what? Like, I'm kind of off topic, but I think you got to pay. I got the utmost respect. The guy who should have been freaking out and yelling the whole time and would have been justified to have a shitty attitude was Zach Wilson. And for the most part, outside of his little blunder after the New England game, for the most part, he took the high road. He kept his mouth shut and he was positive and he was team first, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I'll always give that to him. I'll tell you what, another guy that could have justifiably had a gripe last year was fucking Breece Hall. You bring in Dalvin Cook, like you got Michael Carter. He's our de facto third down back for some reason. You feel obligated to get him on. He's taking that away, and you're force feeding Dalvin Cook into this offense. I pop off for 20 yards, and then I got to sit down while Dalvin Cook runs into the ass of his lineman. So Breece Hall could have, and he had a couple comments, but nothing crazy. But yeah, man. So I think the character is a big deal, guys. Gotham Green checking in says, watch his highlights. The ball is always where it should be. The kid was beating LSU, Miami, Duke, etc., not Utah. Welcome to MetLife, Jordan Travis. Yeah, I mean, again, he was the guy I wanted. You know what I mean? Dom, a little bit lower on him. What? Yeah. Give us some. I know you talked about some of the accuracy stuff. Is there anything else that we should be concerned about with Jordan Travis?
Listen, I'll say this about Jordan Travis, positive wise. We talked about the mental makeup and the guy's he's a winner. I think there's something to be said about that. being a quarterback and being a leader and having that, being able to be surrounded by winning, and that's what he brings. Technically, he's just not my favorite. I love the athleticism. I love the ability that he can create with his legs. I don't know if I would label him a true dual threat weapon in the sense of like a Randall Cunningham or a Lamar Jackson. Not to say that he's bad. He's obviously very, very effective with his, running the ball and so on and so forth. I'm trying to pull up on my draft list his total number of rushing yards last year. I don't have it. But I think if you look at his career in a nutshell, like I said, there's mechanical issues to be sure. He needs to clean up his footwork. He's got a long, loopy release. That just doesn't translate in the NFL. Could it be fixed? It absolutely could be fixed. But now we're relying on offensive coaches who we haven't seen really develop anybody on the offense, not at any position, to fix this stuff. The mental part of the game and how to play quarterback. I don't even care about Todd Dowling there. He's going to learn that from Tyrod Taylor, and he's going to learn that from Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? But the mechanics and the physical part of it still needs some work. There's accuracy issues. He cleaned them up a lot in the last season for sure. But when he's off, the past couple of years prior to this season, very Josh Allen-esque. A lot of hero ball, a lot of forced throws. When I say accuracy issues, it's not like just missing a guy. It's like yards. You know what I mean? So a lot of that has to do with the breakdown in his mechanics. So if you can get that right, sure, you might have a player. Listen, I'm hoping that, and I mean this wholeheartedly, like I'm hoping that my assessment, my constructive criticism, and my breakdown, my scouting report on Jordan Travis, I'm wrong. I think best case scenario is you get Tyrod Taylor. You get a guy who can come in and be a spot starter for, 1, 2, 6, 8 games if you need him. Probably be a really good high-end backup, can offer something because he's got enough arm talent and he's got enough athleticism and he's got enough moxie. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I hope he proves me wrong and he becomes the starter of the future. I can only tell you how I see it. You know what I mean? There was just other guys that I thought had that we're going to talk about, in that, kind of in that same range. Like I thought Spencer Rattler is going to be, I think Spencer Rattler is going to be a good starter in this league. I think he's Baker Mayfield, whereas, like I said, if I had to even put money on it right now, I'd say that Jordan Travis ends up as Tyrod Taylor. Is that a bad thing? No, he's going to have a great long career. Is he ever going to be a franchise quarterback? Based on my eyes, from what I saw over the past couple of years, probably not. But, I've been wrong before.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Very good, good constructive criticism there. So I want to point this out. Yeti talking about Michael Carter. Look, I like Michael Carter too, but let's just pump the brakes. Just so we're clear, he had 6 games with the Cardinals. 6 games. 22 rushes for 149 yards. 0 touchdowns. So, you know what I mean? Let's just pump the brakes. I like Michael Carter, and I was very excited about Michael Carter, especially as an RB2. And I think he will be good, but it's not somebody that you need to, cry over. I think Elijah Moore has more of the potential of kind of opening up his career and being so. He gets really, if he gets consistent quarterback play, which he hasn't yet, somebody gets, that rhythm with him, I think Elijah Moore can be dangerous, man.
Yeah. Remember Michael Carter on Arizona, obviously he's backing up, what's his face? Oh my God. Who's the big guy?
I know. Let me
John, what is his name? Who's the starter in Arizona? Gosh darn it. He came from Pittsburgh. I can't think of the name. The kid.
I'll tell you. Hold on.
James Conner. Thank you.
Conner. Yeah.
So, all right. But they also just spent high day 2 draft capital on Trey Benson. And Trey Benson's skill set is Michael Carter hopes that his best ceiling is somewhere in the realm of Trey Benson. So spending the second overall pick in the third round on Trey Benson really doesn't bode well for Michael Carter, in my eyes, in my opinion.
Yeah, like again, I'm not too worried about it as far as like ruining the day. You know, I feel the same way about like JFM, Zach Wilson. Like, you know, can these guys go somewhere and be something great? Yeah, of course. You never know, but you know, it's a long shot. You know, JFM's a nice, solid player. He's going to be fine. He's going to do well, but he's not going to be much more than we saw, if anything, I would think. Michael Carter, he'll be a good complimentary back, but no big deal. I'll tell you this. I much prefer having Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis, and Izzy than what we had last year I mean, I loved Bam Knight. I will admit. But you know, Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, you know, Michael Carter, and Izzy, I think we upgraded for sure. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. I forgot about. You know what? That's how quick it comes and goes, guys. I actually forgot about Zonovan Knight, man. I actually forgot that he was even a Jet.
Yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes people go, you know, they bring up a player from last year or something. I'm like, who? Oh my God, that's right. Yeah, same thing. Holy shit. Well, Dom, I think, look, we went about a half hour longer than I expected. I want you guys to know this will be the last Monday night mock, the 10 o'clock mock for this season. We didn't do a mock, but I wanted to have just kind of a closing comments, so to speak, a closing arguments. It was a great season for the mocks. It was a really, really solid, fun time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Dom, I'm truly grateful for the work that you put in and sharing that with us. I'm really happy. I hope you had a good time too, man. This was a fun season.
I always do, man. And I mean it wholeheartedly. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to come up here with you, with everyone in the chat. I mean, it's Monday after the draft and there's 400 plus people in here just shooting it with us. Yeah. So like that stuff, really sounds kind of hokey right now, but like, this is the stuff that like really fills my heart. You know what I mean? Like this gives me the chutzpah to keep going and keep doing this stuff. Like, content creation is all fine and dandy. I'm going to I'm going to nerd out on the draft, whether or not I talk to you guys or not about it. And the fact that you guys want to be here and talk to us about it makes it that much more special. So,
yeah, Eddie says we should do one more the week after the Rooks show up.
Yeah, we got a 2025 10 o'clock mock next week, guys. Get ready.
Yeah, there. Right. Maybe we will. I closed the poll just to end the show. How we feeling? So I said, pretty good, awesome draft, should have done better, or meh. So pretty good takes the cake. 53% said you're feeling pretty good. 37% said awesome draft. 6% said we should have done better, a bit better, and 2% said, eh. So I think overall Jets fans are happy. Now we know it's all about the games. We know that, but we don't have the games. So let's just enjoy what we have while we have it. I know we're the offseason champs and all that shit, but I feel really good about this year. I hope you guys are excited. I hope you had some fun. And that is the end of the show. I hope you guys will remember, hit that like button on the way out if you'd be so kind. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It is greatly appreciated. And please don't forget to support Dom C over at Project Prospect with Dom C and on Twitter at DC_New York Jets. With that all said, have a great night, everybody. We will see you for this show next year. See you, everybody.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, right. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8.
Johnny Lamb Jones. Wide receiver.
As a season ticket holder of the Jets, I'm going to fool
Ken O'Brien of California, Davis.
Obviously, the Jets know something that, the people up there don't. Fullback. Hello.
Roger Vick. Jeff Lageman.
Jets just don't understand the dress all back.
Blair Thomas, running back, Penn State. Johnny Mitchell. The New York Jets select tight end from Penn State, Kyle Brady. Vernon Golson.
Cleveland traded the 5th pick to the New York Jets. And with the 5th pick in the 2009 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Mark Sanchez.
D. Milner. Smith. Jets select quarterback Christian Hackenberg.
Sam Darnold.
The New York Jets select Zach Wilson.
Future Pro Bowler Elijah Moore.
Michael Carter, running back.